SBCSS Digital Learning Services hosted a series of webinars based on ISTE's 5 competencies of digital citizenship. Each day of Digital Citizenship Week, we had a special guest presenter who was able to give us a deeper insight on each of those ISTE 5 competencies of digital citizenship. On Tuesday, we talked about inclusive digital citizenship with Benjamin Dylan Porter from School to Home. Digital citizenship is 1 week, but digital citizenship is not to be confined to a week. So we have these resources available for you year-round and as you need them. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that you enjoy. Welcome to Digital Citizenship Week 2023. We're celebrating the power of digital presence by observing the 5 competencies of digital citizenship: informed, inclusive, balanced, alert, and engaged. Today, we will be discussing inclusive digital citizenship. Here to help us learn more about this topic is Dylan Porter. Dylan Porter is a senior program manager with School to Home. He is also the founder of Educational Urban Technologies.
This is my contact information. If anyone wants to reach out to me, post this presentation, feel free to either email me or reach out to me, either phone, LinkedIn, all those things work. So real quick about School to Home, who we are. School to Home, it was developed and is managed by the California Emerging Technology Fund, which is funded by large telecom mergers in the state of California. So like T-Mobile and Sprint, when they merge, that funding then goes into the CETF, into that California Emerging Technology Fund, which is then used to help close the digital divide and help close the achievement gap across California from north to south. California Emerging Technology Fund, one of our big pushes right now is the affordable connectivity program. So, inclusion can be the topic of being kind online. It can also be about making sure that some of our peoples who don't have access to the internet or don't have access to broadband get that access and get it in a way that's affordable, that they can, that doesn't hurt their family fiscally. So what we do at CETF is we really try to get the message out there. And one of the organizations we started, our websites we started, was Internet for All Now. So the IFAN website, they're a direct partner with CETF. Again, that website features multilingual info on high-speed internet, digital literacy, equity advocacy. It's got a bunch of tools. It has lower cost tech options that you can buy through our partners. But the biggest thing it has is you can call their number to get direct support on enrolling on the ACP program. Right now, that ACP program will probably end in 2024. We're hoping it lasts till the end of it. There should be enough money there to last the end of it. But again, that's $30 off internet for no matter what type of internet they're getting. It's $30 off the entire bill. So it really helps some of our low-income families get that high-speed internet. And before, what a lot of the broadband providers were providing was a lower tiered connection. Like they give you 5 megabytes per second, and it's very slow. But in this situation, that's not the case. With the $30 off, it applies to every internet plan that's out there. So please utilize this website. If you have any questions about that, let me know, because it really is a great resource for our families.
In addition to the work you do with School to Home, you also have educational, I'm going to try to remember it correctly.
Yeah. Well, you call it EduTech. So that,
yes.
Yeah. So, that's just consultant work, mostly consultant work, but we do a lot of different things. We do PDs, we do direct support, we can do tutoring. There's a bunch of things we're working on, but I started it 3 years ago and it's still growing. So I'm working on it. The website looks good though. Some of our key learning objectives for the day. Number 1 is utilizing the ISTE standards to identify behaviors and activities that digitally empower our students and educators. Play, test, and review some digital empowerment curriculum, resources, and applications centered on inclusivity for students, parents, and educators. And then we're going to collaborate, hopefully as a group here with some of the work that we do to share best practices and strategies for authentic digital inclusivity. I really hope you walk out of this session today with a lot of resources that you can use directly at your school site tomorrow. Using the term empowerment is that we really want people that go through our content, that we work with a lot of parents, do parent workshops. We want the parents that come out of those out of those workshops to feel empowered, to feel excited about the tech that their students are using, to feel excited about the tech that they're using. I'm going to look at a video Richard Collada made a couple of years back. And this video is about the do's and not the don'ts of digital citizenship. I thought this was very appropriate because I think a lot of times we get caught into the idea of the things we don't want our students to do when it comes to their online personas and their online action instead of what we want to see from them. So as you watch this video, and I'm going to skip one slide ahead just so you can have a quick look. As we watch this video, I want you to consider these 4 different categories. So think about relationships and community, think about digital literacy and media fluency, safe and legal and ethical practices, and privacy, personal data, and digital identity. I want you to think of these categories just broadly as you watch the video. And as you watch it, what are some of the behaviors you want to see from your students as they're online? So let's go back, and I'll do a full screen on this. This video is about 3 minutes, so feel free to take notes as you watch. Some of the behaviors you want to see from your students. And then we'll go ahead and add those to this Padlet right here. You can add under each section as an extension activity for any of my overachievers that are on the call, which I'm guessing a lot of you are because you made it today. So we thank you for being here. But I want you to see if you can use the generative AI that's built in the Padlet. Instead of writing out the behaviors you want to see, maybe you can create an image that shows what the do's of inclusivity looks like to you in your classroom. So let's take 5 minutes. I'm setting my timer right now, and let's see what kind of responses we get. Got some really cool answers already. I can see people already knew how to use some of these tools already. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's see, we have for our relationships and communities. It says we want students to understand the importance of healthy, respectful, and consensual relationships. They should learn to communicate effectively and resolve conflicts constructively and set boundaries. Nice, thank you. I see we have a girl here with a detached hand via AI, which again, you can always, it's a giveaway, but here working, being kind online, that was the image that was created. That's awesome. She looks like she's being a very nice online. I can see that. Positive interaction using and collaborating with digital resources. This is actually kind of a cool picture in general. I really like the way this turned out. Very Picasso-like. I wonder whoever did that, did you type in Picasso at all, or did it just popped up, did it on that exact prompt? That's awesome. I see being upstanders, which is a huge one, right? And having people stand up for each other and say something in situations where people are being negative or disrespectful or unkind to each other, having someone to stand up to say that's wrong or saying, hey, let's take a different approach is very important. That peer pressure, positive peer pressure, we'd like to call that as an upstander. Spreading cybersecurity awareness, especially for senior citizens. Oh, don't get me started on that. My mom, I'm working with her right now because that is something she doesn't know about. She opens a lot of different phishing emails, those sort of things, and she's 75. And so there is a lot of things that people can take advantage of when it comes to our older citizens. Be tolerant. That's who. I made owls. I don't know why I made owls, but I like that. I see that we also have on here some digital literacy and media fluency, which is awesome. We got people as well for safe and legal ethical practices, limited time on the internet and cell. It's interesting you brought that up, whoever brought that up on my internet addiction, because we will be talking about here shortly about the idea of setting up a family tech plan with having a family and us providing resources for those families to work with a student to help them set limits, not just for the student, but for the entire family. Posting appropriate photos, that's a huge one because students aren't aware at a young age of how long those photos will stay with them. So those are great. The usernames, oh my gosh, again, usernames and passwords are a huge one. I found out from my mom, bringing my mom back up again, she has the same password for every one of her accounts. So that's interesting. So yeah, we want to make sure our students are able to understand how to be safe. Cookies. Yeah, thank you guys for this. I'm going to keep this. I will keep this this up for you guys to review at a later time. But yeah, thank you for all your great responses here. These are awesome. You can bring this back. If you do bring this presentation back to your school site, or if you do have site-based PD time, maybe this is something you want to present to your staff or colleagues. This can be done in a station rotation model where you are modeling different station rotation formats. In this example, we have independent, collaborative, and guided. We're going to go one by one through them as a group, and that way we can kind of participate in all the activities. So the first thing we're going to look at this independent station is we're going to look at some of the materials that are out there for you that are accessible, that are engaging for students on the topic of inclusivity and kindness. The Kind Kingdom from Interland, which is Google Internet Awesome's video game they created to teach digital citizenship skills. And what you do is, this is a great supplementary activity to work with your students. Let's say they are working independently or they finish an assignment. This is a great way for them to, I want to play cool math games. Well, no, actually, we're not going to do cool math games today. In fact, we have a game for you to try that's going to teach you some of the skills you might need when it comes to showing kindness to those around you. So this is the game, and links directly to there. Feel free to follow this link right now as you're on this presentation and explore and play this game. It's okay to do that. You have a little bit of time where you can play 10 minutes. So that's the Kind Kingdom, and there's three other components to Interland. So there's three different other categories for students to explore as they get used to the game itself. And to be honest, the game is actually pretty decently put together. And this is, I say this as a former hardcore World of Warcraft gamer. Like, it's not a bad setup they did, and they did spend a little bit of money to make it somewhat engaging for students. So that's a great option. Again, if you have students that are done with assignments or need something supplementary to do, the Internet Awesome makes a great choice. And then the second one that I linked here too for this independent one for you to explore would be Common Sense Media's Feeling and Options Educator Guide. Now, this one is, for those of you who have experience, I know Sue's going to be presenting on Common Sense Media, I think tomorrow, right, Jessica? So I'm sure she'll have better resources than I'm able to find, but they have just a plethora of things on that Common Sense website. And this one's a great one because this educator's guide, it's specifically built around the ideas of SEL and really making sure that students are learning the ways in which to better interact, how to handle internet drama, and how not to be unkind online. So this is a great way to look at things that provides you with a dilemma, and digital dilemma, and then it kind of walks you through the process of figuring out the best steps as someone engaged in that dilemma to fix the issue. So that's an option. Let's jump into the next section, which would be a collaborative. If we had time, if we were doing a collaborative activity and we could break into stations, we would be doing this as a group. And one of the ways we would do this would be to do a role play. So as someone mentioned earlier, one of the best things is there is an issue with internet addiction right now. A lot of the different applications and tools and TikToks and Instagrams and these things do act as casino-like mechanisms for our students, hooking them into almost an addiction to that dopamine of getting a like on these different apps. And so it's really important for us to set expectations within our classroom. But what about outside of our classroom? When our student goes home, what are those expectations for tech use at the house? How can we help influence that as educators and provide resources to our parents and families that help them navigate the difficulties with internet addiction or internet overuse? And so I'm giving you two options here of resources that you can have a look at, one of which is the Family Tech Planner from Common Sense Media, which is really solid. The Family Tech Planner is going to just be a very simple form that you can have, that you can send back with your students, take back with their families, and then they can sit down. It can be a homework assignment. I want you to sit down with your mom and dad and set up a family tech plan. And have that be a homework assignment that then comes back finished, so you can understand what those limits are, and that the parents have an understanding of, what the expectations are for device usage and when and where, and what place can you use them. So you can go over that with them as well. Secondarily, on this presentation, I've also listed out the American Association of Pediatrics Media Plan. This is kind of a cool one that's interactive. If you go here, they have it in Spanish as well, which is a huge benefit for us. So you can go here and actually create an updated, you can create a family media plan digitally, and then you can also update it as you go along and things change. It's not as, I guess, it's a little bit less user-friendly than the common sense media content, but it still works. And again, having the information and being able to present this in Spanish is vital for our students, our ESL students and families. And then, so just consider that as we kind of go through this, and how can you use resources like these family tech planners to include your parents in the conversation? And then also, I want you to consider too, why are families so vital in terms of the conversation on digital inclusivity? Think about those as we progress forward. And then at the guided station, this is one that I wanted to kind of put a couple more resources in your hands, just because from my experience, some resources meld better with certain people and others don't. So I wanted to give you as many resources as you can, so you can kind of pick and choose as educators what you think is going to stick the best with your students. One of those is Meta's digital wellness program. So Meta/Facebook put together a huge amount of content on digital wellness, and those topics, they have a huge amount of lessons, starting middle school and up. You have activities that are pretty simple, but also correct, but it's in depth. So it's not just, you're going to get some very simple activities, but you're also get some very in-depth lessons that you can utilize. So feel free to explore this when you have a moment. I think there's a lot of lessons here that you could use, especially as the year progresses. And then the newest one I wanted you guys to have a look at, this one just came out, I think, I don't want to say even a couple months ago, is the Achievery it's from AT&T, and they created a huge digital library of content on all sorts of different things. So you can look up things like, how does computer work? How does the internet work? All these other topics, but they also have things like this one, like Being Kind Online, Introduction to Kindness for K through 3rd grade. These are resources that go all the way from kindergarten all the way up through high school on whatever categories you want to look up, whether that's digital literacy, social emotional learning, etc. So the benefit of the Achievery, and this is something I mentioned to a couple of my coworkers, is that you're be able to access content from Warner Brothers and also Cartoon Network that's built into the lesson. So they'll use famous characters to actually create lessons around, whether it's Batman or Superman or whoever it is. And then that way it gets students more engaged. These are actual, these are lessons that are built around that Warner Brothers content. So feel free to explore that as well. If you do come across something that you really like on there, please let us know, because I haven't had a chance to use this yet. And again, like I said, it's brand new. So that's the Achievery. Again, let me know what you guys think. And then I wanted to put this out here while we're going to pause right here before we move on to the end of this. But I wanted to find out, because again, this is, we have people on here who have the experience. What apps, tools, and strategies are you using to help your students to be more inclusive and kind online right now? So outside of all these, options that I've given you today, what are some of the things you're using? If you could talk about that in the chat, I'd really appreciate it, because I'd like to see what else is out there. If you have something you'd like to share with the group, maybe we could talk about it briefly before we move on to the last couple of slides. What action steps would you take to empower your students digitally in your classroom and or your school site? So you can add to this Padlet again. I used the Padlet again. If you want to respond, if you didn't get a chance to try the generative AI, please feel free to try that as well during this time. We'll let you guys finish up on that for the next couple minutes and write. But as we write, I'll pass the microphone back over to Jessica.
I just want to say thanks for that incredible presentation. I'm really excited about the Achievery. I think having those Warner Brother characters will really resonate with kids who can connect with them. So that was my reflection, my feedback, what I want to try out. I want to explore that. And then I also really like that you started us off with rephrasing to now say empowering.
Use digital citizenship as a term for a long time. And I think what we're trying to say, I think there are some links to the idea of citizenship with our families who maybe not from here, where the way they view that is a little bit differently. We wanted to really empower those families. We work with a lot of families, who may be new to the country, and the thought process of them thinking about, oh, I have to be a citizen. Like, no, this is something for you to be empowered digitally so that you can utilize a lot of these tools. You can utilize a lot of the tools that your students are using. You can understand your students' grades, how to help support online digitally, and find resources. So that's kind of the idea behind it. And the idea of rephrasing it is one part of it, but also the idea of kind of rethinking, like, what is it we're presenting, and how are we empowering the parents, our parents and our families to have, or even our students and our teachers as well. How are we empowering them, right? Instead of just making sure they're citizens.
And that's right in line with inclusivity. Thinking of how we can equitably get this information out to all people where it's understandable. And so I really appreciate your explanation behind that shift in phrasing.
Do you want to share anything really for how we address things with littles, anything that you've been considering, or really, for those lower grades, for the lower elementary levels?
I think it's really important to start young, especially because you go out in public and you see kids in shopping carts or in strollers and they have a device. And so to educate them and let them know that that is a digital world, that is a space where they need to be more aware. Sometimes they're just so programmed to be able to speak that language per se, and they can navigate through those tools, that us explicitly stopping them and showing them what those buttons are doing and the power that that has, I think is really important to teach them when they're younger. And Common Sense Media has some cute characters. There's some YouTube videos that are like very cartoonish, and they break down digital citizenship in a way that those littles can be able to understand, and it resonates with them because of the cartoonish nature of that. But I think it is very important at a young age.
And like you said too, we're putting devices in kids' hands right away. We're like, okay, you're 3, you're at the dinner table, here's an iPad, but what's that doing, right? How are we, is that student going to know how to be a responsible, not even a digital citizen, right? But are they going to know how to have dinner with someone? Are they going to know how to have dinner as a family if we're just sticking them on a device while the rest of the family has dinner? So there's interesting things at play there. I see someone responded to with the family tech planner. That's awesome. Please let me know how that goes. That's been a really big push within our schools, is really getting those family tech planners out to parents and getting those back to the teachers to see, what are the rules at home with your tech devices. So especially as we have Chromebooks going back and forth between schools and home.
And that's a perfect segue to end today and think about tomorrow with balance. We will have Sue Thoughts from Common Sense Media, who will speak to us about balance, so that way we can know when it's appropriate to use the device, what to do with ourselves when we're offline, and to just have some more wellness, mental health, SEL along with our devices. So thank you so much, Benjamin Dillon Porter, for this amazing presentation. I learned so much. I have a page full of notes. I really appreciate it. And I'll get the Wakelet to you and everyone else. And
Appreciate
thank you. We will see you back tomorrow, where we're talking about balance. Thursday, where we are talking about being alert digital citizens with Michael Arrington. And then Friday, we will close out with Ann Cosma, who will speak to us about being engaged. So everyone have a great digital citizenship week, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.